things police see, first-hand accounts, with your host, Steve Gold.
Welcome to Cops in the News, where we talk about law enforcement news stories as reported to us by the always reliable, trustworthy, and honest news media. With me is my co-host, the great Ken Roybal, retired LAPD officer, retired LAPD background investigator, policebackground.net. policebackground.net. I can't do it. I'll never get it right. Policebackground.net, Police Applicant Podcast. Ken, thank you, sir.
Police, what'd you say? Police background police, what?
Ken, I'm not a smart guy, and you agreed to do this, so this is kind of like your fault.
It is.
Do you ever, I had a question for you. Do you ever go by, what nicknames have you had? Kenny? Has it ever been one? Kenny?
Funny thing about the name Kenny.
I've heard, before you tell me, I've heard people call you Kenny before, and I always kind of like, something inside me cringes. I just don't like it for you. So what about it?
The only guys that called me Kenny were the really big guys for some reason. I was like their little Kenny. I don't know why. Some women call me Kenny, and so I take that as a cute compliment, but
endearing.
Yeah. So other than that, not too much Kenny. I don't know why people sometimes do that, but
how about Roblo? Is that a nickname?
Roblo, no.
I called you that before.
When I was younger, I had people call me Kenny Roybelius.
Ooh, really?
That may have been an indicator.
How did you pass your background, Kenny Roybelius?
I don't think that person was one of my references. I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
So
I'm sure.
Yeah, okay, we're live as we live and breathe.
Yeah, we should be.
There we go.
I hope
I'm
so.
watching us right now.
I gotta say, I like like we were saying before we came on, I like the Saturday vibe. I feel like I have a little more energy. I'm not tired. It hasn't been like a super long day. Do you think Saturdays are good over Sundays?
Yeah, Sundays. Jenny was talking to me about that. She says Sundays is tough because you go to church, you do all these things, and all of a sudden you got to run and do that. I try on my podcast. I try not to do on Sundays because it's just like a busy day. And today, as a matter of fact, I had a podcast this morning at 11, and then I got this now. So that's cool.
I had a podcast this morning too. And I tried to, I worked till midnight last night. Probably fell asleep around 1 a.m. And I had a podcast at 8 a.m. And it actually went really great. North Carolina detective. And I tried, while I was having coffee with Carrie, like bleary eyed, I'm writing messages like, hey, what about 9 a.m.? And he's like, no, I can't. I got to do 8. I got stuff going on with the kids. I'm like, okay. So I still had like sheet marks on my face. There's still creases on my face.
That's the best. Or you get up in the morning, you kind of get all ready, take a shower, do your hair, and you kind of go top of the morning, and people go, you look like you just woke up. You look really tired. I'm like,
yeah.
You don't
look good. Yeah, people say whatever they want to a guy. With a woman, you're just like, I'm not going to say anything. With the guy's like, oh, you look bad. Thank you. I have feelings. I know I'm a man, but I have feelings.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Shoot. Go. I'm on the Facebook Live. I'm looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the bottom of where the comments go, it says send 200 stars to to pin your comments here. So what is that?
I don't know. Recently, like a month ago, Facebook sent me a message about stars. And I think it's kind of like a super chat on YouTube. Like stars are money. So I think if someone were to give stars, it would give me like $1. I don't know. I really actually don't know. But it said like, do you want to activate stars? It can give you money. And I was like, yes, please give me stars. So
do we have to take our clothes off or anything? Is that like?
It depends on the amount. I mean, for anything over $5, pretty much anything goes. But yeah, so I've never got a star before in my life. I don't really know. On the YouTube, I'm trying to get over. I'm at like 950 or 60 subscribers, I think. So once I get over
Wow.
once I get over 1,000, then I can get the super chats and advertising and all that stuff. But for
Nice.
now it's a big goose egg for me, but you know,
Is this is on YouTube as well, right?
it should be.
I'm gonna go to YouTube. I like YouTube better
It tells me it is. It says so.
because I'm not a big fan of the YouTube of the Facebook Lives. Not so big a fan. Let me go hang out with Steve and Ken on YouTube.
Why do you like YouTube better? Is it just like more, it seems simpler, like more pure? It's just like the video and comments.
Yeah, it's just easier to work with.
Yeah, I have like
So-
almost 8,000 followers on the Facebook page for the podcast, and it goes out to like 100 people. Like nobody gets notified that I'm live or anything. So Facebook is it's kind of over with that. Like it's basically you have to pay to play. Like you got 7,700 followers. If you want to reach them, you can give us $50, and then we will actually. Those people who said they wanted to follow your channel can actually see your post if you give us money. So
Give me money.
that's the business model, which isn't
There.
that cool in my opinion.
Look what I did. Look what I did right there.
What'd you do?
I put a comment in.
Oh, there we go. Brian Schultz, I'm over here at YouTube. A little lonely, but I'm here for y'all.
Brian, you're not alone. Ken and Steve are here with you.
We're here, buddy.
And,
I made a bad decision early on where I just concentrated on the podcast only for the last 3 years, and it got built up nicely, but I did like nothing with YouTube or video. So it doesn't jive. Like when you look at it, it's like, oh, there's like no followers for video, but the podcast has a ton. So I'm trying to play catch up, Brian. I'm sorry. We're here for you. We love you. Ask us. You got the spot. You got the center stage, buddy. Anything you say, we're going to see.
You have Ken and Steve in your back pocket here. And Brian, I just want to say this to you. This goes out to Brian. I wish I had special music for Brian, but I want to say, Brian, Steve and I are here for you. Even though this is public, it's only us in the room. You could tell us anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to go to the podcast, but
Yeah.
right now at this moment, you got problems with your wife,
Anything.
job,
Yeah.
anything like that. Ken and I will
Anything.
fully dissect them on this live stream. Absolutely.
Because we're wise. We have wisdom. We can answer any question. And if you want, if we don't have an answer, we'll make it up. And it'll sound very convincing, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because when I say things like that, I have conviction and I believe them myself. So it sounds like it's true. So that's fine. That's how we operate. Ken, let me read some ratings and reviewings recently to try to encourage the 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because we are up to almost 1,000, which I will be so happy. I should do something for the fans when we hit that. I don't know what, but so I got 3 comments here that came in recently. Lisa M 11488 says, really enjoy listening to these guys. I listen to Steve 10 hours a day while at work. Love this podcast. Definitely recommend. Lisa, I love you. You're amazing. Thank you very much.
I like it.
And I agree 100% with her comment. Then this one's labeled Steve's Heart from SOUBKEDD, Subked. There, I wrote a review for this podcast. I'm now in your heart forever, Steve. This podcast is great. Love listening to it while I stock shelves with Pepsi. Shout out to all their merchandisers out there. So it looks like we have, okay, well, 10 hours a day. She didn't say where she worked. I thought she was a merchandiser as well. Negative.
I like this. The one, kudos to Subkid, because for Pepsi products, Pepsi rules over Coke.
Company man or woman right there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wonder what Brian feels about that. But anyways,
How's Brian receiving the show so far?
how does he feel about that?
The next and last one I'm going to talk about is the title is The Gateway to Policing by Feed Me More. I've been listening to this podcast for just about 2 years. I started while I was deployed overseas, contemplating on whether or not law enforcement really was for me. Steve exposed me to what policing is truly about and has shown me that this is the only profession I belong in. I'm currently in the academy, in a large part due to Steve, and I can't forget about Ken Roblo.
Roblo, yes.
Steve's undying comment to authenticity and commitment to authenticity and his empowerment of all police officers has been critical in changing the minds of those who never thought to give those in law enforcement a fair shake. No matter who you are, if you want a window into that, what police officers really do and what motivates them to do it, there's no better place. Well, thank you, sir or ma'am. That is very flattering. I appreciate it. So, guys, if you give a review, a 5-star, I will read it on Cops in the News. That's the whole point of that little segment, Ken. More ratings.
And then we will be close to you like Brian Schultz is to Steve and I.
Brian Schultz is coming to my house next Sunday for family dinner. I'm going
why.
Yeah, I'm going to baptize him. If he's already baptized, we'll just do a rebaptize into the family of God, and he will be living with us for a while. So thank you, Brian.
That's why he couldn't come to my house next Sunday. All right. Okay.
Brian's right now. These guys are stalkers.
Well, Brian was in here all alone. We feel sad, but he's not alone. We're here. I show 3 people. Are they on Facebook too?
This is a remarkably low amount of people watching today, I think.
For a Saturday, you'd think.
Yeah, they're partying, living their best life, but that's okay.
I took a shower and I shaved today too for this. So it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. You're a little disappointed. It's okay. But the podcast, it's going to go to the podcast fans. Those are the meat and potatoes. Those are the people we love, you know? So here's the first story, Ken. This one is all you, my man.
All right. So this is a pretty good story. Talk about heads up police work. This officer sees she's 30 minutes before end of watch. She sees a car run a red light, so she stops it. There's a man and a woman in the car. The female's driving. Now check this out, Steve and Brian. And I feel like Brian is part of the conversation. Brian, you're co-hosting, except we're going to mouth everything for you. So imagine you go up to the car, the whole, hey, the reason I stopped you, blah, 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 driver's license. And the driver looks paranoid. The female driver looks paranoid. And while the passenger's not looking at her, she looks at the officer and she mouths, "Help me."
Oof. That's got to be surreal.
Yeah, that is so weird. She silently mouthed, "Help me." And then the officer, being, smart, she gets him out of the car. She gets her out of the car. And turns out, let me see here. So she gets her out of the car, told her, let me see, where's something else. She removed the passenger. Oh, okay. So she says, "Help me." She gets the passenger, the male, out of the car, kind of hooks him up, puts him in the driver's seat. Turns out that he had just shot somebody. He just shot somebody, kidnapped her in her car. And that's where they were driving. He had a gun. So they get him out of the, a minute later, a Bolo comes out, and it says that a white Jeep SUV, the one that she was driving, was involved in a shooting incident in the county. And that was the car. It was after she had stopped and this had happened that the Bolo came out.
Can you imagine?
And so the officer didn't know anything about the shooting. Later on, they arrest the guy. After they found out that he was a suspect, they arrest a guy named 29-year-old Collins Bates, for attempted murder, kidnapping, and possession of a weapon. They found the gun under his seat after she had pulled him out of it. So, whoa.
It's crazy. I mean, so many things could have went wrong. The fact that this guy had the nerve to pull this stunt, kidnap someone, force them to drive. The fact that he didn't then, when being pulled over, go to the gun is a miracle. He not only did he not go to the gun, he obeyed the officer's commands, got out, got placed in cuffs, and went in the back of the car. I mean, that's just luck. I mean, that someone's looking out for her, man. That you always, those usually end with like rounds going off. You know what I mean? That's crazy. And by the way, half an hour left in her shift, already twice the cop that I am, because I would have been like,
going home, red light. Yeah, and this guy already shot people, so what would he care about shooting a cop? So she was really. It doesn't sound from the news report that she was slouching or anything like that, or slacking. It sounds like she was pretty on it, and she probably did all the right things. And maybe the suspect was just intimidated by her somehow and knew that she would take him out if he didn't comply. They haven't gotten to that part, but that's a heck of a find. And you know what? They talk about these pretextual stops and all these kind of things, the traffic violations. Get this. So in California or Los Angeles, they're talking about having civilians do traffic stops.
Yeah, I remember that. My gosh.
Yeah. Can you imagine some hokey civilian gets out of the car in their little white car with the little yellow light on it and stops in this car, and this guy's got a gun? Game over, man. Game over.
Yeah, forget about it.
So, yeah, this is a good example of why you should not have civilians doing traffic stops. But kudos to her for doing this. That's what we would call heads up police work. Heads up.
Absolutely. Yeah, traffic stops are, I mean, they tell you in academy, traffic stops and domestics are, you know, the two most common and most deadly things for police officers. And it's so true. You know, I work in a small town, small area, and I'll pull people over and they'll have an edge to them, and you run their BOP and they have 40, 50, 60 charges on their BOP. And the reason they're edgy is because they're gangsters. We're not far from some major cities, and they have like the tattoos up their neck and the teardrop and the crown and all that. It's like, you're out there alone with these people, you know what I mean? And like you were saying about presence, your presence really does dictate how they're going to act. If they feel like they can't get over on you, if you're having a presence, they won't. Like even like in Police Academy, they showed us video. The FBI did, they analyzed killers and cop killers, and some of them it was as simple as like, why'd you kill this cop? There was two of them, and it was like this cop's shirt was like real bloused out. He was overweight. His boots were crappy looking. He just looked like a soup sandwich, and I knew I could get him. The other cop, thin, put together, looking good, looking fit, and had a presence to him. Didn't try to take him. So all just because how he looked. And this guy, this guy they interviewed, I wish I could remember who it was, but he was a notable cop killer. He said it's like the watering hole in the like Sahara or wherever. He said you go down the watering hole, they're all different animals are there. There's a hyena that would be like me. There's lions. There's hippopotamus, and he goes, the hyenas are they're gonna size up the weak lion, or a lion that looks like he couldn't fight back or she couldn't fight back. But if you get a big lion and he looks good and he's clean and he's well taken care of, I'm not going for that one. I'm going as a hyena. I'm going for the one that looks like he's got some holes in his armor. So kudos to her. She obviously had command presence and took charge of the situation.
Yeah, that's kind of a scary ordeal, though, but good for her, man.
It's nice to find out later, you know what I mean? Have the guy cuffed up in the back and then be like, oh, hey, I got you.
It shot somebody.
It takes the anxiety out of it. And then when you pull the car over and you're like, the guy's in the car. So that's awesome. Good job, Kayla Wallace. You're a good egg. I like you.
Kayla!
So the next one, Ken, is my story, and it's a little weird, but it's been all over the internet. Aliens in Las Vegas. So the headlines aren't as good as the headlines are better than the story, really. But like this cop, I'll play the video. He catches an object on his body cam, and then shortly thereafter residents start calling in that there's a craft that looks kind of blurry, like they can't like look at it, kind of in in an empty lot next to their house. And they're saying that there's these beings outside of the craft. So let's take a listen.
Take a look.
Just before midnight on April 30th, skywatchers across several western states saw a bright fireball streak through the heavens. A police officer working in the Northwest Valley caught a glimpse of the colorful object on his body cam. At nearly the same time, a Ring camera in the area recorded a strange noise and what sounds like a crash. One family living in a ranch-style home had a much closer view of the object. Two brothers and their father were working on a vehicle in their yard when they caught a glimpse of a sparkly object as it came crashing down, then were hit by what they describe as a shock wave. One of the witnesses, a young man named Angel, has stated when the brothers looked into the yard where the object landed, that spot was obscured and blurry, as if by unknown form of camouflage. What they saw next prompted a frantic call to 911.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
8 News Now investigators have spoken with family members multiple times in the past 4 weeks, but each of the 3 times we accepted their invitation to do an interview, they didn't answer the door or their phone. These are some of the claims they've made in other public forums. Multiple family members backed up the story in an initial police report we obtained. Angel says they heard the patter of multiple feet in the yard. They later heard footsteps on their roof. They saw one of the 8-foot-tall creatures climb behind the controls of a large front loader stored in the yard as if trying to engage it. He got a good look at one of the creatures, he said, a greenish-grayish being with large eyes and long legs. He says he could hear its deep breaths, and when he locked eyes, he was, in essence, frozen in place, couldn't move. In the middle of the yard, where the object had crashed, then vanished, a circular impression was left in the soil.
Okay, where is this on your property?
Metro sources say the police dispatcher initially wondered whether to send a crisis intervention team to help the troubled witness, but then took the incident seriously.
You have trauma.
2 officers arrived 38 minutes after the call, and by then had heard from other officers. They proceeded cautiously and managed some nervous laughs.
I ain't dealing with that.
A few days later, the family says 2 Metro sergeants returned to the scene to ask follow-up questions. The family says they also saw men in suits and sunglasses driving in a car with government plates cruising slowly past
Men
the
in
house
Black,
in
baby.
the following days. Nellis and Creech have denied any interest or involvement with the incident. Metro has indicated they believe the family that something crashed in their yard. But what?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty weird, all those things lining up like that. I don't know how I feel about. I'm pretty much not believing in aliens. I don't really believe aliens are real. I believe it'd be more like something along principality of the air, something like the Bible said, that those are our enemies, like a demon or some kind of scheme. Because there's a lot of innuendo in the Bible about men joining with demons and kind of being influenced by them, and so it quickly go down into a rabbit hole about it. But I don't think there's I don't think there's aliens. I think it was something else. What do you think, Ken?
I would first off, it's a weird story. And I might not put any credibility into it, except there's body cam footage from a police body cam,
right,
showing that this thing went flying, like that. But the thing is, I find it just odd that just randomly this police officer with a body cam was facing the way this object came flying through the air. What good timing is that? The other thing is they circled the area of the yard where this thing came crashing down. It just looked like there were little rings in sand.
Yeah,
it didn't look like something had impacted it with the boom that they're talking about.
Right.
So where's the debris? Even if it was a meteor, Where's the debris? Where's the burns? Where's the big displacement of dirt?
Yeah, because they were right there. It's not like the men in black had time to come and clean it up. It happened right next to them.
Yeah. I don't see Will Smith there. So, yeah, I don't know, because there's, it sounds like people were calling 911 saying they heard a big boom, but the evidence doesn't show. And it's just kind of, I don't know what about this, where's the debris? And you know, Brian Schultz hasn't chimed in on it, so I'm not sure what to say.
Brian, we're not going to move an inch further on the show until Brian Schultz.
Schultz.
Let's go with Brian Schultz. Here we go. Guys, appreciate your podcast greatly. Your pod greatly. You get me through each shift in the squad. Small town copper here. God love you, Brian.
Right.
I'm small town copper myself, my man. I know the struggle. Jojo Carter says, let's go to comments for a second. Jojo Carter says, hello, Ken and Steve. Hello, Jojo. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Jojo.
Madam. Would love to co-host. LOL. Not sure I'd be much entertainment from Brian. Brian, you're already co-hosting, so you've made it. The great JJ Williams. Well, hello all. My man. JJ.
The Yoda of backgrounds.
Yoda, background whisperer.
Background whisperer.
Yeah, I don't. Back to the aliens. I don't believe in them. I don't trust our the federal government at all, especially with just all the things that have come out about the federal government, about things from Kennedy's day. What is it, Project Deep Woods? The CIA kind of pushed forward a plan to make a false flag attack on Florida and kill Americans to blame it on Cuba. Like that was a real thing. That's a document. It's declassified. That's a thing. The Kennedy thing, where it looks like the CIA was involved in that. I wouldn't put it past them to have some kind of tech that they're working on that they don't want anybody to know about, and that they're kind of screwing around with. And they always say the rule of thumb, the military is 20 years ahead of any tech that we have. So I think I would be more inclined to think it was something along those lines than an alien craft of any kind. That's just me.
So you think their own government that's doing some kind of techie stuff, and they're just not saying what it is, and then the rumor mill starts with alien stuff.
Yeah, and I think they like it. I think because the White House has already come out and talked about the possibility of aliens, I think they like that cover. They're like, yeah, that works. Why don't you make a public statement about aliens, Biden, and that will further deepen the cover for it. So yeah, I don't know if this case specifically, but I think in general, I think that's what's going on. I don't trust them at all. I mean, especially with the FBI and all these investigations that they didn't do, and the ones they did do, and they were targeted and then political, and the whole thing's very depressing. And I don't trust them, Ken. I say trust your local city or town cops, because they live there. You know them, and you can trust them. The rest of them, and let me preface this, because I've had federal agents on the show that are great guys. There are lots of good ground troops that are federal agents that are just doing the work. But I'm talking about the Washington field office specifically.
Specifically,
you catch my drift.
I get it.
All right, Ken. This next one is right up your expertise. We're talking a failed background investigation here, I think. Well,
JJ can chime in on this one. So, anyways, this guy, this is so funny to me, and it's funny, it's funny, not funny, but okay. So they do a background investigation on this guy, Marion, Indiana, I think it is, and anyway, so they do a background. The guy gets sworn in on a Monday, so he passes everything, right? He gets sworn in on a Monday, gets fired on Wednesday. Why? Because of racist social media posts from 2020 and 2021. So the question for me, obviously, is what took so long for them to find? How did they find it out? They swore the guy in, so he had to pass everything. So I'm gonna read these posts that he did and let our listeners
let me
kind of chime in.
I'll judge if these are racist or not.
Judge, let us know in the comments if you feel these are racist. So the first one says, actually June 1st. Well, note. Oh, he made. Okay, so June 1st, 2022. He makes a social media post. It says, and I quote, "With gas hitting $4.89 and climbing, let's all take a moment to appreciate better times." And the image beneath the text showed former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin kneeling on the neck of George Floyd.
Ooh.
The second one was a Facebook image on April 13th, 2021, depicted a cartoon image of a black man titled Martin Luther King. So, were those racist? Stop it, Steve.
Well, Ken, the first one, I don't believe that whole incident was motivated by race, number one. So I think like the civil rights accusations against Chauvin were, I just don't see why that was involved. I know why, because the way the media is and the way the certain parties weaponize it, but certainly distasteful and insensitive, and for someone trying to get into police work, not smart. That's not something you want to just put out there in public. As you've said before, it's like it or not, we're held to a different standard. That's the whole point of being a cop. So taking little jabs like that, knowing that probably 50% of the population that you're about to police is going to think that's racist. It's just stupid. Like, it's just stupid to do. And the second one, that I think that one's kind of racist. Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same as you. I think that the guy's definitely got his head up his rear, because this is 2020. Well, these are 2021 and 2022, and you can't be that stupid. You cannot be. Yes, you can, because he did that. You can be that stupid.
We have proof.
And Steve and I have been around a long time. I mean, Steve is ancient, and there's a difference between cop humor, morgue humor, stuff like that. And just stupid stuff that and as long as Steve and I have been around, you would never catch us even touching these types of things, because there's common sense. People don't always get cop humor, that dark humor,
right,
that helps cops survive all the stuff that they see. But nonetheless, this goes beyond cop humor. And the guy wasn't even a cop when he did this. This is just stupid, immature stuff. And I have to agree, for me, and I'm guessing for you, Steve, if this came up during a background investigation, the candidate who wrote this stuff would not only be a DQ, they'd be a perm DQ.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, though, he got sworn in, and then this stuff came up on. He got sworn in on Monday. This stuff came to light on Tuesday. He got fired on Wednesday. So, I'm curious what happened with the background investigation. How did this come up so late?
Yeah, I mean, because first of all, it wasn't that long ago, and it's pretty much a staple of the background now is doing a social media review. So,
yeah,
unless the background investigator is like, "Ha, good one, you're hired,"
and then somebody goes, "Hey, did you catch this? Yeah, good one, huh?" I'm like, no. So, yeah, but this is risk management. This is stuff that you don't. And to be quite honest with you, this is going to be in his background file. It's going to be in his permanent record for his personnel file with that city, and it's in the news. So my guess is he will never ever see the inside of a police car.
Yeah, no, there's no way. Kind of touching on what I said before. I don't I don't think this deems him to be like a racist person, but because I've known people in my life that make racist jokes, and they're not that, like, they don't have that in their heart. They just think it's funny to like shock people, like the shock value of the whole thing. They're not actually bad people, and they're not racist. But in this kid's case, I don't know him personally, but I think he's just lack of judgment alone.
He's stupid.
You know what I mean? Not it's no bueno, Ken, to speak your language.
Yeah, that's just dumb. I just can't believe he did that. And a little concerned about the background investigation, why this came up after he got sworn in. Unless they swear people in before the background's done, I don't know. But I'm concerned about the background process there.
Yeah. Kind of like when Dorner went off and they were like, who did his background? Who's his background?
Yeah. Yep. So that's what's up with that. That's my take on it. And I think this guy's pretty dumb.
Yeah, pretty dumb. Ken, up next, we have one of your favorites, one of your bros from the old school, the old George Gascon. What did he do now?
George Gascon, he's such an idiot.
He's looking more and more feminine, by the way. He's looking more and more like an older lady.
Have you ever heard him talk?
Limited.
He looks like he's just a hair's breadth away from his testicles dropping, because his voice is like that. Hello, so I want to say I'm the DA for Los Angeles County, and it's just I can't stand to listen to this guy talk. But he's one of the George Soros funded progressive DAs that lets people out and they go out. He just got in trouble recently for two people that got out of jail and went and murdered people because of their policies. So anyways, he feels that Twitter is unsafe. So
all that free speech happening.
Yeah, he closed his Twitter account because he's afraid that false information, and he says that the DA's office will no longer be posting content on this platform. As the prosecutor's office, we will uphold the principles of justice, blah blah blah. The rise in unchecked vitriol. Well, now you have to ask yourself, this guy, he's hated by his own office.
Yeah.
He's hated by cops.
Yep. Check.
And Gary Steiner, of all people. Cool, Gary Steiner's here, man.
Yes, Gary. George Gascon exemplifies what the word demagogue is all about.
Yeah. So
Gary, don't use big words. I almost couldn't read that.
So here's this guy that coddles criminals. He completely disregards the victims of crimes, and he's afraid of But you have to think about it, Steve. Why would his Twitter feed be so filled with hate-filled comments?
Yeah, I was going to say, is it that there's too much vitriol, or is it that everybody hates him and he's sick of hearing it?
And he won't. It's so funny. His office said that comments made regularly on its tweets have the potential to harm members of the community, as opposed to all the people that
are being murdered because you let them out of jail.
Yeah, all the people got murdered because he let them out of jail.
What an ass clown.
He's got two assistant DAs that are running against him in the 2024 election. But let me see. What did they say? They call him a coward. He's not a leader. These are coming from his own office. And it says it's interesting but not surprising that a man who once called a murder victim's mother uneducated to her face called his employees internal terrorists before ever meeting them, and allowed a 26-year-old violent child molester to be sentenced to serve time in a juvenile facility, would quit Twitter over concerns that it's not a safe space.
Yeah, I don't know why everybody hates him so much. I mean, the guy's just trying to do the good work, just a stand-up guy.
I don't know anybody that can stand this guy. And he went to I'm ashamed, and I'm going to say this out loud, that he's a retired LAPD deputy chief or assistant chief, something like that. Have no clue how he was LAPD. Goes up to San Francisco, becomes chief of police. Somehow becomes DA of San Francisco. Totally wrecks San Francisco. The cops up there hate him.
That's where he got radicalized.
Yeah. And then comes back down to LA, totally wrecks that office as the DA. And get this, George Gascon, he's been the DA twice. He's never in his entire career prosecuted a criminal case.
Damn. If you can dream it, you can be it, I guess.
America.
It's funny because I've heard a few interviews with politicians that like were pro him way back, and they claim he did a 180. They said like when he was with LAPD, he was a different guy because they worked with him. They're like they can't believe the stuff he says now. They're like, this is not the guy we knew at all. So something definitely broke in his brain. And I'm guessing it was San Francisco. Something up there happened to him. Drank the water.
Something happened. But Jojo Carter says that he's an idiot. Jojo, that is hitting the nail on the head.
Yes,
because
ma'am.
he is an idiot. I mean, there's not enough. He got off of Twitter because of the vitriol, but there's not enough. I can post stuff on Instagram about this guy, and my feed goes nuts because they cannot stand him.
Yeah. Yeah, rightfully. Gary says, forgot to mention what victims and their surviving loved ones think about Gascon and how he dismisses their concerns, trauma, desire for justice. Yeah, exactly what Ken was just saying. Absolutely. Pretty gross dude. Next up, Ken, we have kind of a sad story, kind of a loss for us as coppers. It's your story. We have a copper who he was going to go ahead and do some crack in his patrol car, but I have a news story. You want me to play that now?
Yeah.
A Chicago police officer has been relieved of his police powers after being caught with suspected crack and cocaine inside his squad car.
Police say the 38-year-old officer was arrested coming out of a Norwood Park bar early this morning. CBS 2 investigator Megan Hickey has been digging into what happened, and she joins us live from
this
the
lady's
newsroom
hair,
with
Ken.
her exclusive. Megan?
Got to see this lady's hair.
We confirmed the arrest happened around 5:30 this morning. A police report obtained by the CBS 2 investigators shows he was off duty at the time, but raised suspicions because he parked his squad car outside of the Norwood Park bar.
Police records show the arrest happened as Officer Antrinius Andrews was coming out of
hell of a name
in Norwood Park. The report indicates
Antrinius
CPD was called there because someone saw a man in plain clothes exit a parked Chicago Police Department vehicle and enter the bar. A CPD officer approached Andrews and, quote, detected a strong odor of alcohol, along with slurred speech. Andrews said he, quote, had a few drinks. CPD also observed a clear plastic baggie containing a white residue on the computer in the squad car. An additional clear plastic baggie containing a rock-like substance suspected to be crack cocaine, and an additional Ziploc bag containing a white powder-like substance suspected to be powder cocaine. Police also found an open bottle of vodka and a bottle of brandy in the squad. Officer Andrews' weapon and a rifle were also inventoried. The report went on to say that Andrews, who's been with the department since 2012, was placed into custody, and an Internal Affairs Division sergeant responded. CPD confirmed that Officer Antrinius Andrews has been relieved of his police powers and his case is open with the Bureau of Internal Affairs. He was charged with 2 felony counts of possession of a controlled substance and 1 misdemeanor count of possession of drug paraphernalia.
So, number one, the news lady who came on second, hair looks like it was ironed. Looks like it's like the 90s or something. They all have the same voice. You notice that? Like the way they announce. It's so weird. Like you could just interchange them. But yeah, Ken, this is what is it in Chicago? Does everybody get a take home squad car? Is that?
I wouldn't think so. There's almost 40,000 Chicago cops, I think. I don't see how they can all take cars home.
Yeah, he must have been on something. But it sounded like it was marked because he had a computer in it. So it's like you feel cool about just driving that to the bar and parking it up front. That seems. Is it a cultural thing? Do they do that in Chicago? I really don't know.
I don't know, but yeah, it had to be a marked police car, but it had his rifle in the car, and it was a fully decked out car with computer and all that kind of stuff. So some citizen called and said, "Hey, so anyways, one of your cops got out of a marked car in his plain clothes, went into the bar, came out drunk." So what's up with that? And then he was in his own town as well. And so, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be the guy and you know what? I just want to make a comment that, we're not here to make fun of this. And there's obviously people who have what do you call it? Substance abuse problems and all this kind of stuff. We've all known cops who abused alcohol, stuff like that. So it's not about that. The whole thing is that this particular story is so whack. So the guy's in his police car. He's got 2 bags of cocaine. He's got liquor. He comes out of the bar drunk. So there's got to be some kind of accountability for being so stupid.
Yeah.
Because at one point he was sober when he put that crap in the car, or he was sober at some point. And so he gets no pass for that.
Yeah. And he's got that squad with weapons in it. He's got a patrol rifle. He's got his handgun. He has access to all of it. He's hammered. He's got felony level drugs in the car. I mean, damn, man, it's not good. Ken, I shouldn't have worn this T-shirt. I did proudly climb Mount Monadnock in New Hampshire, but it's got a graphic right in the middle, and it my belly keeps sucking in the bottom of it, so you can kind of tell I have a belly. So
no, actually, and I think our fans will back me on this because of the color of the shirt. I could not tell that how your shirt goes like this and down.
That's a gross exaggeration, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't even see it.
Okay,
Jojo, what do you think? Jojo, can you see anything? I'm not seeing any belly there.
I shouldn't have brought it up.
You're a ginger Adonis. I don't see how you could even say that, Steve. I think you're being a little oversensitive about that, even though you are. Come on.
All right. You're right. I don't know what I was thinking. I do not know what I was thinking. All right, Ken, the last two are, the last one's really wacky.
Gosh.
The next one is California is waging an ever more aggressive LGBT culture war. And let me just read this. The first bill would amend, so they're doing 2 bills. The first one's the one we're talking about. Would amend the family code to put the thumb on the scale of a best interests of the child analysis in custody proceedings to favor a parent who supports gender affirmation for their gender dysphoric child, which is interesting that they use gender dysphoric child in that sentence, kind of legitimizing the term, saying, yeah, this is until very recent, this was a mental condition, right? Gender dysphoric child. So Amendment AB 957, existing law governs the determination of a child custody and visitation in contested proceedings and requires the court, for purposes of deciding custody, to determine the best interest of the child based on certain factors, including, among other things, the health, safety, and welfare of the child. Makes sense so far. This bill, for purposes of this provision, would include a parent's affirmation of the child's gender identity as part of the health, safety, and welfare of the child in making a determination of the best interest of the child in the proceeding described in Section 3021. The court shall, not may, shall, among other factors it finds relevant and consistent with Section 3020, consider all the following: the health, safety, and welfare of the child, and as used in this paragraph, the health, safety, and welfare of the child includes a parent's affirmation of the child's gender identity. This is interesting because I didn't notice this the first time, but like I said before, they use gender dysphoria in the actual law, showing you their hand, saying, almost admitting, this is mental health, this is a mental illness a child needs to be supported and given services for. But we are giving points to the parent that is willing to push the child in that direction. This is truly madness. This is like the upside down world. Is it not, Ken?
Yeah, and there's a law in Washington where I'm at. They just passed it recently that said that if a child goes to the school and says, I'm this gender, and then they say they're afraid of the parents, blah blah whatever, they're not getting support. The state can pull the kids out of the school, notify the parents they have custody of their child, not let the parents know where their kid is. And then they're a ward of the state at that moment.
Wow.
And the parents have no say so. And unless the parents agree to these terms or whatever, they won't return the kid to the parents. And they determined that if you do not affirm this child's, whatever gender or whatever they're saying, that it's child abuse. And so they're going to pull the kids out and not tell the parents where they're at. This is a big issue. There's parents are getting up in arms all over the nation. As recently as a couple days ago in Glendale, California. But big hot button issue.
Total insanity, man. It's how do they refer to it? The reprobate mind. God has given them over to themselves, and they will never see the truth at this point because they're done. That's it. They're eating a snake eating their own tail at this point. Totally insane. Christine Roof Bloomer is here. Camouflage gut. Thank you. Comes in hot with a nice compliment for my gut. Thank you very much. Christine finally made it. Mean Christine, like Ken said.
That's right. She was on my podcast twice. Have you had her on your podcast at all, Steve?
I haven't had her back, but I'm not opposed to the idea. If she'd ever come on, I mean, her husband is a Border Patrol agent who I would love to come on, but they have all kinds of dumb rules about that. Sarah Pomeroy says 40,000 cops. We have 65,000 for the whole of Australia.
Oh,
that's a lot.
Yeah, there's 40,000. Wait, was it 40,000? No, I think they're 30,000. And how many is in New York? New York is more, isn't it?
I think New York is like 30, 40, and I think Chicago's right behind them.
Yeah. Yeah. And the next biggest one, used to be LAPD, but now they're getting below 9,000. Christine.
Yeah. She says, how do you determine that is always in the child's best interest? So what is always in the child's? Yeah, exactly. That's the parent's job. You would think. JJ says Chicago is or was 18,000.
I believe JJ. JJ knows everything.
JJ. So that's still a buttload of cops, but not approaching Australian level. Sarah, the great Sarah Pomeroy says.
And I would like to welcome the great Sarah Pomeroy because she's amazing from down under.
She is. I sent her, she's a Patreon supporter, and I sent her some stickers, and it took 7 years to get to her, but she did get them. So, I want to give a shout out too, Ken, to, I'm such a dummy, but I have a friend through the podcast who is in, I want to say Finland or Denmark, I think. And he wrote to me months ago, and he said him and his father, before his father passed, would sit and listen to this podcast and kind of like in amazement and laugh and about like American policing and what the cops have to deal with here and how crazy it was. And so then his father passed away, and he reached out to me and shared that with me. And it was so nice and touching that I sent him a few stickers over to Denmark as well. But sir, if you're listening, hope you're doing well, and thank you for the support. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah.
What do you want to share that's meaningful and nice, Ken?
I want to share that Christine's been on my podcast twice. She's killing it as far as the listens and all that. And that's all I got to share about that.
You want to know something, Ken? I've never had a campus cop on the podcast.
Oh, it's interesting because I've had one twice.
Did you? How many times did you have her? I didn't catch it. Was it 2 times?
Twice. JJ's so awesome. We got to get JJ in studio again for LAPD update.
Oh, hell yeah. JJ's a good guest. He is a talker, and he's got fun stories. So there's not going to be any dead air with JJ. He can hold his own, let's say.
He can hold his own. But so far that's all that's going on, I think.
All right, Ken, I got one more for you, buddy.
Surprise one?
One of the weirdest stories ever that we've had on here. So, scantily clad witches caught munching on deer carcass in bizarre security cam footage. Try as I might, I was not able to actually... I'm not sure there's actual footage. I think there's a trail cam that took a bunch of pictures, but what we're looking at is 3 black and white pictures of topless women with like loincloths on, Ken, I guess. Mm-hmm. And they are standing over a deer carcass and putting the bones in their mouth and seemingly eating it. And also the story said they were kissing it. So let's see. A nurse and nature lover in Canada reportedly captured footage of what she said appeared to be 2 witches holding a carcass eating ritual with a camera set up near her home. I don't know what the heck was up with that. Carinia Stanhope, 36, of Powell River, British Columbia, told Kennedy News, "It really freaked us out. It's not something you see every day." After coming across a deer carcass in a garden on her property, Stanhope said she set up the camera to surveil any animals that might take interest in the dead deer. So she basically put it out there, said, maybe we'll catch a bear, a wolf, a coyote. No, 2 human women, topless, eating and kissing a dead, rotting deer carcass. And very remote area as well of Canada. So what do you make of that, Ken?
At first blush, I feel like it's unhealthy and illegal. And it's quite a sick thing to do.
And I don't like it.
I don't like it. I'm kind of wondering why you would have to be in a loincloth to do that.
Probably for like earth, wind, fire, earth to appropriately enter your body. I don't know. I think I was thinking maybe somebody got wind of her doing this and like pranked her, like sent people out there to do something weird, just kind of spook her. I mean, it's definitely really, if you look at this lady's hair on the bottom right, their hair looks insane. It looks like wigs. There's something not right there.
And why are their faces covered?
Right. Very very gross and weird. I mean, congratulations this is a long way to go for a prank. So if you went out to Saskatchewan or wherever this is, and you did that, that's commitment right there, buddy. I mean, they went for it.
It's interesting. On the left side picture, the second person.
Oh yeah, there's like a trousers there.
There's trousers and shoes. I don't know if that's a girl or not.
Oh, but if you look at the top right, it looks like that one had trousers on. Yeah, maybe it's a dude. Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be a dude. So that's what witches are doing. Witches are bad, and God hates them. And this is why, because they do stuff like this.
It was probably a guy that put this all together because he's like, okay, I'm going to take my shirt off, but I'm going to wear pants, full pants and shirt. You take all your clothes off and wear this little bikini thing. Cool, right?
No, it'd be cool if your boobies were out, and then we got them on camera. Yeah.
It's so stupid.
It's like the directors of Game of Thrones were involved in this. They're like, yeah, we need some more boobs. Take your shirt off.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I'm going to steal the words of Sarah. It has to be staged. And what are the chances of her putting a camera out and it just all of a sudden what is a deer eating ritual? I don't see nobody kissing a deer or eating stuff.
I don't know. They're assisting its soul to get to Mother Earth.
You know what? I recognize that picture now. It's in the backyard of the guy with the aliens. So.
Yeah, oddly enough, this happened in Las Vegas right after a crash of an alien vehicle.
Yeah,
well, Ken,
I think we're getting pranked.
That's the news, brother. That's what we got. Where can the good folks find you and your podcast?
If you want to find me and my podcast, you can just go to Google and search for the Police Applicant Podcast. You can find me at you can see the top there at LA_backgrounds13 on Instagram and policebackground.net. So I'm at all those places.
All of those places, everybody. You can go to thingspolicec.com and scroll down to listen to the show or be a guest. You can scroll down and go to the Patreon if you really love the show and donate there. Yeah, that's about it, Ken. I'm gonna wrap her up. Any parting words?
No, it's been great being here as always, and we are having a Patreon style subscription service for our podcast. We're going to be adding extra content for only $4.99 per month, a la Steve Gould, who got me interested in that. And also, cherry on top of us doing that is Steve Gould is our commercial spokesman for our subscription service. So you have to go listen to one of our podcasts, and he's in there about half an hour in for every episode talking about Things Police See and our podcast.
Yeah, my first voiceover gig, baby. I love it.
Yeah, it's cool.
They'll be rolling in now. I know it. All right, Ken, thank you, sir, and I'll catch you next time.
All right, talk to you guys later.